There was a psychological experiment where they took a person and they put him inside a room. Empty room, nothing there. They told him, wait here for half an hour, doctor's going to call you in, whatever it was. Whatever. And the person sitting in the room, all there was, and they took away their phone, nothing to teeter on. No magazines, empty room. There was a chair, a table, and a button. Of course, after maybe a minute or two of being bored, or sooner, the person pressed the button. And, what happened? They got zapped. A little electrocution. Nothing too terrible, just a little zap, painful. Ouch! Ah. Okay, that was that button. Okay, so they obviously didn't press it again at that point, because okay, that's going to zap me. Anyway, so they're sitting around, staring at the room, looking around, and after around 10 to 15 minutes of doing nothing, they pressed the button again. Interesting creatures we are. They pressed the button again. They knew exactly what was going to happen. They did it. They knew it. Nothing changed. The button didn't change. Nothing. They knew exactly what the outcome was. And yet they chose to press it a second time. In this little science experiment, it gives the basis of what we really don't want in life. What we don't want in life is boredom. Okay? We were literally willing to be in pain. Getting zapped is not pleasant. Ask anybody who's been tased. Getting zapped is not pleasant. You will avoid it at more or less all costs. Literally send signals directly into your nerves to cause pain, which is one of the reasons why tasers are so effective. It doesn't make a difference your pain tolerance. You're stimulating the nerve directly with an electrocution. And yet, knowing what was going to happen, people did it anyway. People pressed it either way. Why? Because you'd rather be in pain than be bored. that's essentially, that came out from that experiment. Obviously not pain all the time, and you could be pain and bored as well, so, but essentially. Now, we learned, in general, growing up as kids, and greater society as a whole, religion has taught us, and I mean more or less all religions, all sides of the spectrum teach us. If you follow God, you're going to have a wonderful life. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be wonderful. And if you don't, and if you do Averyrah, and God's going to smite you and hit you and kill you and fight you and burn you in fire and hold back the heavens, etc., 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 etc. All the wonderful things, we know we have many, many curses in Torah. Which, holy crap, are they some curses? But anyway, that's what they teach. That's what they focus on. And that's what's going to happen if you do an Averyrah. What does Chassidus teach us about this? Chabad Chassidus, perhaps specifically. And again, I'm going out on a limb here, so I'm ready for pushback. You know what's going to happen if you do an Averyrah? Nothing. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing. And that is the greatest punishment of all. For nothing to happen. Religion comes from a perspective where you have a life, everything's fine, and God is this thing that you pile on top of your life. You have on top of your life, you have requirements and restrictions and what you can do and what you can't do, etc., etc., etc. And you have to kind of, live your life and follow God. Hasidus teaches you, no, idiot. You don't have a life if you don't follow God. If you do Averyrahs, nothing will happen. Existence will cease. You will be bored. That's exactly why it's not advancing. Which is why Chassidus and Chabad Chassidus specifically make such a heavy emphasis on what's called hiskafia and hispcha. Hiskafia means to resist and to hold back what you don't need, and hispcha means to turn over things which are allowed to you. Hiskafia means to, let's say, eating kosher pizza, right? You're allowed to eat pizza. The Torah doesn't say you can't, but you're going to hold back on it. And hispcha is when you realize the integration of eating that pizza, how that gets integrated into you getting utilized for your service of Hashem. And that's why Chassidus makes such a heavy emphasis on these 2 points. Because, as they say in Tanya, if it's 99% true, it's 100% false. Which means every time you do something that's disconnected from the Eibishter, nothing happens. And that's the worst thing in the world, for nothing to happen. We are in this world, Adam la'amal yulad. We've been put in this world to work. What's mean to work? To work means make something happen. When you do Averyrahs are irrelevant. It's totally, completely irrelevant. If I sat around in a room and I give you a bunch of facts, right? You'd want to kill me after the 10th fact. This room is white. This floor is brown. These tiles are wood. These irrelevant. Why? Because life is not about irrelevant facts and not about irrelevant. Life is about the meaning and the source and the purpose of life. Life is about connecting to the Eibishter, which is the source of life and the source of meaning. And if you don't have meaning and you don't have purpose, you don't have life. You don't have life. And when you do an Averyrah, you're withdrawing yourself from meaning and purpose. And in essence, you're withdrawing yourself from life to nothing. Our default state is nothing. Our default state is bored. If there's nothing happening, you're bored. You're not happy. But when we do mitzvahs, we attach ourselves to the greatest meaning and purpose ever. And that's the pshat. Now, obviously, I'm not throwing out everything which it says about Averyrah and all the tshuva which we have to do from Averyrah and etc., etc. Please, don't take my words out of context. But yes, there was a Hasidic which he said, the first time he smoked a cigarette on Shabbos, his hands were shaking and he was worried. And he finally did it. He was partially said, I was mamish afraid that Hashem was going to strike me with lightning for lighting a cigarette on Shabbos. But again, totally missed the point. Totally missing the point. We've turned schar v'einish into an avodah zarah of itself. And, it says, the more refined something, Chassidus, it says, tzaddikim are held to a much higher standard. Why? Because the more refined something is, the more focused you can be on any small variation or any small detraction from what's perfect. The example given, if you have a completely white shirt, if you have a blue shirt, a navy blue shirt, you can get a stain, you won't notice it. If you have a white shirt, even a small little stain will show. And obviously, the more white it is, the more noticeable, the more pure it is, the greater the stain will show. And we've come to a point in our life, through Chassidus specifically, elevating the world and purifying the world, that it's simply not enough. Simply not enough to give us schar v'einish. Nobody's interested anymore. No one. And the people who are, all for the wrong reasons. And we have to come to this point. We have to appreciate the fact, when you do an Averyrah, nothing happens. And that's the worst thing in the world.